Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be part one of my guide series to how to use Autodrive for Farming Simulator 22. It's now out for Farming Simulator 22. This is a PC only mod, so just be aware of that. And this is not on the mod hub, at least not right now. I have a link down below to where I downloaded the mod from, so you'll be able to access it there. Now, as far as using this, when you load into a map with Autodrive selected as a mod for the first time, it runs like any other mod as far as selecting it, getting it into the game. If you don't know how to download and install mods, I have videos out on that as well. But anyhow, once you get into a map for the first time, it'll ask you if you want to generate courses or generate paths automatically using the in-game helper network. If you hit yes to that, which I actually would probably recommend that, it'll probably make it a little bit easier for you and quicker to start. Now, if you want perfect paths, I would not hit that. It might make it more obnoxious in that sense, but if you just want to get paths on there quick and get started quick with Autodrive, that will help you out quite a bit. So you would want to hit yes to that. Now, if you do hit yes, the game is going to kind of freeze. It does take several minutes, if not longer, to get your courses generated before it'll actually load you into the game save. So just be aware of that. Now, once you are in here and you purchase a vehicle, on the right-hand side, you'll see our Autodrive menu, which we can actually move it around if you want. You can move it wherever you'd like to by just clicking the top of the box and then click again. So left click, start dragging, and then you can move it to wherever you want to. So we're going to keep it actually, I'm actually going to move it up here just so it'll be a little bit easier for us to see what's going on with it and everything like that. So this is your Autodrive menu. Now, if you want to get rid of it and you don't want to see it anymore, if you hit left alt and then numpad 0, it'll get rid of it. That's the toggle. Now, you can adjust that. If you go into the menu here, you can adjust any of these keystrokes I'm saying by going into keyboard controls, go all the way down, and there's a lot of other key controls in here for Autodrive I'm not going to talk about, but all these ones down here that say AD at the beginning, these are all of your Autodrive controls. So Autodrive has a lot of different functions you can have programmed in here, but again, the one we're specifically talking about is where is it at? Toggle, yeah, alt keypad 0. So that's why I'm going to leave it at. I'm going to leave it at all the standard settings for everything. But also too, right now I don't have the ability to move a mouse around. So how do I get that mouse? Well, click the center mouse button to get your mouse to come up, and then I can be able to toggle stuff on here. Center mouse button to get rid of it, center mouse button to turn it on. So that's as simple as it is to get going through that. Now, we're going to talk about the HUD, and then we're going to talk about getting some basics going with Autodrive here. So first off, right here, this is the power icon. If I select that, it's not going to say there's no calculatable path right now, but if I turn that on, basically that activates Autodrive and enables or disables it. Now, you can have a hotkey set up to turn that on and off automatically, but I usually just hit the button here. The next one over here is change your mode. So there are several modes which we'll talk about, but you click this to change the modes. We're not going to talk about the modes right now. We'll talk about those here in a little bit. Then next here we have continue, so it'll continue to the next target if there's multiple targets. And then we have the park icon here, which you can set a parking space for your tractor or vehicle if you'd like to do so. Then we have the loop icon here, which if I am having him do a task, I can have him loop that task, so he'll do it as many times as I think up to usually 9, I believe is what it is. Yeah, up to 9. So, and I can right click to go down, left click to go up, to scroll through 1 or 9 there as far as that goes. So there you go. Then over here we have combine unload speed, which we'll talk a little bit more about that when we start talking about unloading combines using harvesters, or excuse me, using Autodrive. And then we have our actual cruise speed here. So this one, if I use the center mouse button to scroll up and down, I can do that, or I can individually go up and down with right mouse button clicking down, left mouse button going up. But what that's going to do is set your fastest or your top speed for your tractor when they're driving or performing a route. So again, it won't allow you to go above your top speed for this vehicle. So the vehicle is 32, so it'll allow me to go up to 32, but I can limit it down if I'd like to do that. Over here, we have the actual settings menu, which we're not going to talk about anything in here today, but there's a lot of different settings in here as far as what you can change and adjust with Autodrive, but we're not going to talk about those today. Then if we go over here, we're going to look at this one right here, which is the edit mode. So if you toggle edit mode on, it gives you some additional stuff on here, and it also brings up this line, which that's just tracking to the nearest Autodrive point. Now, if we take a look, actually, just real quick, we'll drive over to the map. You can see the map generated a bunch of Autodrive tracks on here, so we'll talk about those in a little bit as far as all that goes. But anyhow, well, we'll talk about how to get those created, if that makes sense. So this here is your record button. If I left click, it'll give me that icon. That's recording a one-way route, which we're going to talk about all this in a second. And if I left click again, it'll turn it off. If I right click, it'll record a two-way route. Right click to turn it off again. Now I believe you can, yeah, left click to turn it off if you have it onto there. But yeah, those are the two different record buttons there. Then if we go over here, this is save. So open routes manager. I can save my routes or my however I want, so I have them saved for this specific save. It will be tied to your save game. So if I load into a different map, or excuse me, it will be tied to your map, not the save game. So if I load into a different map, this route won't exist. And again, I can type in route 53 or 54 or whatever I want to name it. FC's route, if I want to call it that. It does not matter. I can save that then if I wanted to. And I can also have two routes saved on the same map, and I can load into a different route map. So if you wanted to have one map set up for you to work out really well, then another map set up, or for one system, and then another map set up for another system, you can do that. So maybe you have two game saves on Elm Creek, and one of them you have a route for, and the other one you have a different route for. So just something like that. This is a create target. So this is where you can create a destination point or a trigger point to send you to. This will delete a point on the map. So if I see that right there, that's a point I created when I hit the record button. If I click that, it will delete that point right there. So I can be able to click it there. Oh, now I'm creating more points there. There we go. Let's left click that until it starts actually deleting the points for you. And then this one is an edit point, so I can edit a target point. It'll edit whatever the closest one to me is. I only have one point on the map, and it's store, so it automatically tagged over to that point. And by the way, when you do load in Autodrive using the map system, it does not give you any destination points. You have to go toggle those yourself. So those are all the different edit features in there. We're going to talk about actually recording a route here. We're actually going to record a route. That's what we're going to do. This is just a very basic one. We're going to talk about just the functions and everything like that. But why do you want to actually use Autodrive? Yes, the AI helpers can drive places. This will work a little bit more reliable because you're literally recording where you want them to go. So this is a little bit more reliable. Now, what can Autodrive accomplish for you? Well, you can set it to drive a vehicle to a certain place. You can have it go to a place and load. You can have it go to a place and unload, and that includes selling. You can also have it go to a place, load, and then go to another place and unload, all in the same truck. And you can also have it unload a harvester. Now today we're just going to focus on the drive to function, but we will talk about the other functions as we get further along in this series. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to go up here and we're going to record a one-way route. So I'm just going to click this button, left click, so we have a one-way route, and I'm actually going to put this as 0.1. So we're going to have 0.1 here for us. That's all you have to do. So I click that, and it'll whatever point I'm toggled to, and you can see what point I'm selected because that red line off the harvester is going to go to that. Now you see as we drive forward, it's going to start recording and generating additional points for us, just like that. And if I loop around, it'll start toggling more points. I can loop around here. And I'm just going to come around like I'm trying to get to this point here. And once I get close, I'm going to go ahead and left click to stop the recording so I can back up without getting anything on there. Now I'm going to left click this one and then left click that point, and that connects those 2 points. That's how you connect a single point there. Now if I wanted to delete that, I can again left click on this end and left click across it to delete it. Now, if I left click, put it in there. If I zoom in, actually, so you guys can see a little bit better, you can see the arrow on there is what direction it is going. Now, if I want this to be a two-way route, I can left click, and now I have a two-way connector, which is that blue line. Now, if I wanted to get rid of that, again, I can do that, and then go back over to get rid of the whole point. But we're just going to connect it up. So there is a one-way route here. So the tractor will only go that direction around the route. It can't go both ways on it. So if I go over here and I want it to go to 0.1, I'm going to go out of, I can leave edit mode actually on. I'm just going to set this to 0.1 and hit go. It's going to start tracking, and you can see it's driving along. I'm not touching anything right now. It's going to drive along this point until it gets to 0.1, and then it will stop. I'm going to turn it off because we don't have all day to watch it drive around there, but it will keep going about that and get over to 0.1. Now, if I wanted to make a two-way route, here's where it kind of gets a little bit more interesting and a little bit more useful in my personal opinion. And you can use any combination of one-way and two-way routes. Just know that if a tractor can't track to where it's trying to go, that's somewhere along the line, either a point's reversed or something along those lines. For example, if I had this point over here, if I deleted that and then I tracked it to go that way, that now you can't drive this way through that one. You have to only follow the arrow there. So just note that. And again, I can make it a two-way point if I want, or however I want to go about it. So yeah, so let's go ahead and record a two-way route. So I'm going to right-click to record a two-directional route. And I'm going to set this as 0.2. And then I'm going to drive forward. You're going to see blue be set up just like that. So what's the benefit of a blue or two-directional one? Well, if I get up to here, I'm going to set this as 0.3. And then I'm going to stop recording by right-clicking on there. Well, I can send this guy back and forth on this route right here. So if I wanted him to go to 0.2, I can set him. He will drive this way along this path to get over to 0.2. He'll keep going. Now the benefit of this is if I want him to go 0.3, I only have one route here. I don't have to make a loop like that or somehow have a turnaround. and 2 routes, I can just turn him around here and have him go to point 3. And he will now drive up this route that way to go to point 3. And that's how basically that works as far as all that goes. And I can hold down the right mouse button. I can right click on these and hold. And I can move my routes or fine tune them however I need to. Maybe you set up a route and the trailer's just hitting the wall or something because you're too close. You can just fine tune it just like that. I can left click. Should be able to left click actually. Maybe if it'll actually let me do it. Should be able to. Sorry, my bad on that. So I put a little cut in there. Left control. If I hold down left control, then click, I can create a new point. Sorry, the auto drive controls are a little different from FS19. So there you go. And now I can loop that in that way. Make this and go back and forth through there. So I can just loop that in if I want to, and I can move it however I want. So yeah, you can kind of do a lot of cool stuff with auto drive and do a lot of nifty stuff with it. So yeah, we'll cover a lot more in part 2 of this, but this is everything I wanted to cover in part 1. So if you guys enjoyed, drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and for watching.